Right, I'm going to kick it off with the very first book I read for my book club, which was Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, I knew of Taylor Jenkins Reid. I knew there were books, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I believe, that were quite well lauded. I hadn't read it myself, because, I wasn't reading much at the time. So I was like, okay, and we kind of read it in the summer. And I do have to say, it was the perfect time when we read it, because it's very much a summer read. So the book centers around 4 siblings, Nina, Jay, Hutch, and Kit. I did have to remind myself about who they were. Not Hutch, because it has been years since I read it. And they are all basically the children of a very famous musician, singer, Mick Riva. And the book centers around a party that Nina Riva, who's the oldest child, is having as like an end of summer, and it's like the event of the year basically. It basically, during the party, lots of different things happen. And I think I remember on the back of it, it says, and by the end of the night, the house will be in flames. And it was definitely something where you're like, ooh, what's happened? Like, what's going on? And the way that the book is done is actually divided into like a past section, present section. So you have the present bit, which is all about like the party preparations and then what happens at the party. And then the past section kind of delves more into Nina and her siblings and their childhood, their parents, how their parents met, how they grew up, all of that. And I really enjoyed this book. It's not like a world-changing book where I'm like, oh my god, like it was so amazing. I think I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was a good read, it was easy to get through, the characters were pretty relatable, although they were all like famous, which maybe wasn't so relatable. All famous and rich, cannot relate at all. Living in Malibu in the 80s, I haven't mentioned. But still they were all pretty well developed and likable as characters with like their flaws and their things. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and like I said, it was perfect reading it in the summer, when you were maybe like on holiday and reading about Malibu in the 80s. It was just very like, it had that kind of, I think it said on the cover something like a cocktail of a book, and it definitely had that kind of feel. Like it was very much like a summery kind of travel-y type read. Like it definitely kind of made you feel quite nice inside, even though it was also about like family and the struggles that families go through, and like the difficulties between family, and the rivalries and the arguments and the trauma that sometimes parents put upon their children, and all of that, but also forgiveness and love and being together. So it was really, really beautiful in that way. I'm going to do a spoiler section now with some spoilers. Feel free to skip ahead to whatever time I indicate right about here somewhere. As I mentioned, it's about the 4 children who are all children of Mick Rivas. So Nina Rivas, the oldest child, and in the past we find out how like the parents met, but then also how the father abandoned the family, and Nina kind of had to step up and become like the breadwinner, and the mother tried her best, but she also really struggled, and that was actually very interesting to read. And I can't remember, hold on, it will say here. So Hud and Jay are like 1 month apart, so they were raised almost like twins, but they are not twins, because actually Hud is the product of an affair that Mick Riva had with somebody else while he was married to June, but June raised him as her own, which is incredible, because the mother didn't want him. So they are incredibly close as brothers. Apparently they also all look like McRiva, so that's a recurring theme. So yeah, so McRiva abandons the family. Nina Riva has to step up and kind of stop becoming a breadwinner and taking charge, and she runs the restaurant that they have, and then becomes quite a famous surfer, I believe, and she definitely becomes rich and famous, and she dates professional tennis player who actually leaves her at the start of the book, and she's kind of dealing with all of that and having been cheated on by him. So it's kind of almost repeating the past of her mother. And then Jay and Hud. So Hud actually is in a relationship with a woman that Jay was in love with and kind of is still in love with, and that comes out during the party, and that causes obviously a lot of tension. And then McRiva shows up, so there's like a lot that happens during the party, and I can't actually remember why it starts burning, but yeah, I really enjoyed reading the book, and I would definitely recommend it to people if they were just looking for like quite a quick, easy read. Sometimes you need that kind of book, like if you've just read like a really hard book, like, you know, but I don't know, important human rights topics or something like that, then you might just want something a bit lighter, a bit fluffier, and that definitely will serve that for you while still giving you some like character and some conflict and plot that's interesting to get to. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's not going to be longer because I don't have the book. I can't remember that much about it. I did remember quite a bit about it, but I did have to remind myself of the names of like the siblings and like what exactly happened. But I do remember some of the plot points of it, definitely, and sort of more the themes of the book, about family and forgiveness and love, and how they are all very close together as a family. So yeah,